South Carolina State. South Carolina State are the 2021 Celebration Bowl champions. South Carolina State is the 2021 Celebration Bowl champions. We are going to talk about it and how they were able to beat Jackson State after the bumper. What's good people? Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. And today we have a special post-game Celebration Bowl show talking about how South Carolina State was able to pull off the upset of all upsets in the world of HBCU football as they got a 31-10 smackaroni of the Jackson State Tigers. South Carolina State came into this game with a 6-5 record. South Carolina State came into this game as the underdog. South Carolina State came into this game with everybody picking Jackson State. And when I say everybody, I quite literally mean everybody. I quite literally mean everybody. Even people who would call themselves South Carolina State homers were picking Jackson State. Why? Because Jackson State was coming off the biggest win in recruiting history as far as it comes to HBCUs in modern day history. They got the #1 player in the country, Travis Hunter. And so they had the whole college football world looking at Jackson, Mississippi, looking at Coach Prime, looking at Deion Sanders, looking at Jackson State University, and they were coming off that with Travis Hunter, the #1 player, going to the Celebration Bowl down in Atlanta, where Deion was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons, #4 overall in the 1989 draft, where Deion Sanders played baseball for the Atlanta Braves back in the 90s, where Deion Sanders said, "This is my house. This is my house," when he returned to Atlanta playing with the Dallas Cowboys. "This is my house." And they went down there and they got their tails kicked. We're going to hear from Coach Prime, both in the locker room and the post-game presser. I have cut footage of both of those, but I want to see your comments. Leave your comments in the chat. Leave your comments in the chat. What the hell happened to Jackson State? What the hell happened, Coach Prime? What the hell happened, Deion Sanders? What the hell happened? Please, 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 somebody explain to me what happened to Jackson State. How were they able to get beat like that? Why would they get beat? Why did they get beat like that? 31-10? Shilo Sanders, 19 yards rushing. I think that was a Celebration Bowl record. South Carolina State held Jackson State to 19 yards rushing. 19 yards rushing. Let's look at the box score. Where's the box score? Where's it at? Let me see. Let me share my screen, and then I'm going to listen. We're gonna tune in to Coach Prime, what he had to say. So let's look at some of this stuff. This is the Jackson State. This is the rushing stats. Santee Marshall. He did the best job. He only had 4 carries, but he had 23 yards. Peyton Pickett 18 yards. Shilo Sanders is 14 yards, 14 carries, and negative 18 yards. Of course, that accounts all the sacks. 19. Look at that number. 19 yards rushing on 29 attempts. That South Carolina State defense was nasty. Look at Shador. 16 of 36, 2 picks. 2 picks and a lost fumble. Only 1 touchdown because, by the way, the boys only scored 10 points. Malachi Wideman is a person a lot of people think was going to have a big game. Only 3 catches. Trevante Ruckert, a 4-star, was committed to Florida. Only 2 catches. Warren Newman, 4 catches, should have had 5, cost him because he dropped one that led to an interception. Keith Corbin, who had a big touchdown at the beginning of the game, he caught his first touchdown in the first quarter. He had 3 catches after that. That was it. This South Carolina State defense was nasty. Was just plain old nasty. Now let's look at South Carolina State, and this is the dude I want to talk about. Mr. Shaquan Davis, 5 catches, 95 yards, 3 tutties. 3 of them things. Shaquan Davis was a man-child. He was a man amongst the boys when it came to playing this game. 5 catches for 95 yards and 3 tutties. The man was unstoppable. And the thing is, I'm going to play you some audio from my guy from the CFL podcast, Kobe Orr, who called it. Kobe Orr came on this very here platform right here and said, if they do not double team Shaquan Davis, He's going to have a hell of a game. If they do not put double teams on Shaquan Davis, he is going to eat Jackson State alive. Let's listen to some of the coverage. Let me see some of the comments. Damn, sometimes there's so much hype about a team with so much headlines, and teams just sometimes underestimate their opponent. JSU underperformed. I am proud of both teams. No, don't be proud of JSU. JSU underperformed. That's nothing to be proud about. That team came in there, thought that South Carolina State team was just going to lay down to them. They thought the South Carolina team was going to lay down. They thought that they were going to go in there and just get an easy dub and walk away as the champions. They came in there. They said they didn't even care about the SWAC championship game because they were so ready. They were supposed to get there. They were so ready. They had Gilly on the sideline, Wallow on the sideline, Jeezy on the sideline. T.I. came and spoke to the team. They had all these people. They had all these celebrities around all year. They had all these cameras around, all these microphones around, everything that had nothing to do with football. And I think it finally caught up to them. And when they played a team that was better than them, better coached than them, came in there more prepared than them, came in there ready to win a game, came in there hungrier than Jackson State ever was, point blank, period. This is what happens. This is how you get a 6'5" dude like Shaquan Davis. He ends up with 5 catches, 95 yards, and three tutties, 3 touchdowns. I don't know what Coach Buddy Bo. What am I saying? Buddy Bo. I don't know what Coach Buddy Bo said to Corey Fields Jr. at halftime. His stat. Look at the completions and attempts is not good. Don't get me wrong. But those 4 touchdowns, this right here, this is what matters. This is what matters because in the second half, my man came out and played lights out. He missed so many throws. See, here's the thing about Jackson State. Jackson State offensive line had been shaky at best all season long, point blank, period. It had been shaky at best all season long, point blank, period. And when you get to a game where you play a team that is actually really, really good and that actually knows how to play football and has a really good coaching staff and has everything on the same par as you, and when you get to that point, it's hard to beat a team like that. It's just quite frankly hard to beat a team like that, especially when you're coming in with all this supreme confidence as it's you the S-H-I-T, as you're the shit, and you have no running game, David, absolutely no running game. You have absolutely no running game. Your offensive line's been overmatched. You haven't played a defensive line this good all season. Where South Carolina State had been battle tested. They played a New Mexico State earlier this year. They played a Clemson earlier this year. They played a North Carolina A&T earlier this year. They obviously played FAMU earlier this year. They have been battle tested all season long. Jackson State's toughest opponent this year was FAMU, but it was the first game of the season. By the time FAMU got it together week 5, 6, 7, and finished with a 9-4 record on the season, Jackson State was already long gone. They played them. They beat them 7-6. First game of the year. That's the best team Jackson State played all year. Then they played Louisiana Monroe, and they won that game 12-7. And we saw their deficiencies in that game. We saw their deficiencies in the FAMU game, but people blamed it on being the first game of the year. And we saw their deficiencies come out again today. I'm going to play for you the audio from Coach Prime. Let me go ahead and find that really quick. No, not this. No, not this. No, not this. No. There we go. This is what I'm looking for. So this is the audio from Coach Prime. Let's kill some of that. Let's go. Hold on. Let me 1 second. Here we go. So I'm about to play for you the audio from Coach Prime. Let me know in the chat if you can hear it. Once I share my screen, I'm going to share this. This is the audio from Coach Prime about his team and about the fact that they were way too cocky in this game. They were quite simply way too cocky in this game, and essentially that's what cost them. Let's listen. Let me know if you can hear it in the chat.
Like they were just going to lay down for us. You learn a valuable lesson. Life is a heck of a teacher. And if you just listen to it, it will teach you wonderful lessons, especially in defeat. Let's take this like a man. I don't want to make no excuses. They got in your butt, and they got in their right. All right? That's what it is. Don't make no excuses. Give them the credit that they deserve, and don't hate. Because you guys have gotten a lot of butt this year. And we're going to do it next year. The stuff that happened today, I can fix that. I know our weaknesses, and I can fix that.
Listen to that.
And we're going to enhance that.
I'm going to fix that. Listen to that. That's key. I'm going to talk about that.
To come. We just getting started. So I want y'all to put a smile on your face.
So the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come, and he constantly alluded to, I'm going to fix that. And so what he means by that, and he addressed it in the post-game presser that I think I want to show. I want to see if I'll be able to show it. He addressed that because what he means by that is guys getting replaced. He means guys' spots getting taken. You're going to see guys from Jackson State hit the transfer portal because other guys are coming in. Other guys like my homie Evan Henry, who came on the platform and talked about how he's ready to run through a wall for Coach Prime, is coming in to shore up that offensive line. 2 other members from the transfer portal are coming to fix up that offensive line. People are coming to add to that defensive line because here's the thing about Jackson State, and people are going to be added to that secondary, including Travis Henry, that 5-star cornerback, the number 1 player in the country, because these are their deficiencies. The thing about Jackson State, their offense all year long, that's why even while they made a change at offensive coordinator, their offense has been meh. Just meh. That's it. They had one explosive game, one good game for the Jackson State offense that came against Alabama A&M during Alabama A&M's homecoming when they scored 65 points. They put up all those touchdowns. They held Alabama A&M to 15 points. All of that stuff. That was the only good game Jackson State offense really had all year. If I'm lying, I'm flying. It's just the truth. Every other game besides that, they really didn't score more than 24. They really didn't score, but their defense. Jackson State typically didn't have a lot of turnovers. Shador only had 5-6 interceptions before this game. Only had like 5 interceptions all year, so they didn't really typically have too many turnovers, but their defense made hella plays. They didn't catch a lot of interceptions, but they led the FCS in sacks, and so therefore, that's how they were able to win games. They won games because of their defense. But today, the offense turned the ball over like they hadn't ever before in any other game, and their defense gave up touchdowns, which they just simply hadn't done. They just simply hadn't given up too many touchdowns. Coach Prime the boys from South Carolina State brought this up. Coach Prime told his team, and he told the world. He didn't just tell his team. He told the world. He said, hell, if my team scores 21 points, we're going to win the game because my defense don't give up 21 points, which they hadn't on the season. The defense hadn't given up more than, I think, like 17, 20 points a game. Somebody fact check me in the chat. The Jackson State defense hadn't given up very many points all year. They just simply hadn't. And so Coach Prime told the world in front of all the cameras that they keep around and in front of all the cameras that's always in his face, he said, man, if my offense scores 21 points, we're going to win the game. And the boys from South Carolina State heard that. And guess what? They forced 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, a forced fumble. And they scored every single time that they got a turnover. Do you hear me? This is how big football is. Football is a game of inches. Every single time South Carolina State forced a turnover, they scored touchdowns. Not just points, but touchdowns. And that was huge. Like I said, the quarterback in the second half I don't know what, Buddy. Shout out to Coach Buddy Pugh, head coach of South Carolina State, been over there 20 years. This is his 3rd Black National Championship, but his 1st Celebration Bowl. Shout out to Coach Buddy Pugh, who's seen everything under the sun, and he clearly did something for his quarterback, Corey Fields Jr. Corey Fields Jr. was having a horrible game, and I spoke with CFL when he came on my platform, and I said, yo, Prairie View could have won that game against Jackson State. Their quarterback just didn't make any throws. You don't got to make all the throws. You don't got to be Peyton Manning. You don't have to be Tom Brady, but you have to make throws when it matters. And so Puma Pass for Prairie View just didn't make those throws. In the first half, Corey Fields Jr. just simply wasn't making those throws. In the second half, he had timely completions. He made all the throws. He completed the passes that needed to be completed, including a 4th and 19. Nugget Warren, how do you get beat on a 4th and 19? A 4th and 19? 4th and 19. And one thing, and I want to get you guys' opinion. So Sandra says it's only been there for a year. This is true, Sandra. He's actually been there. He let it be known. He's actually been there less than a year. He keeps telling everybody, I only been there since January, and they've been able to do this. And don't get me wrong, I'm not poo-pooing on Jackson State. You guys know I love Jackson State. I'm #1 Jackson State fan on these here internet waves. I am the #1 Jackson State guy. But we got to call a spade a spade. We got to talk about what needs to be fixed and how it can be fixed and how it's going to be fixed. Let it be told by Coach Prime. Now, she said he's only been there for a year. Now, look, It looks like everyone is trashing him. A few days ago, everyone's giving it. No. We are not trashing Coach Prime. Coach Prime is the shit. Let's not fake the funk. Coach Prime is that guy. He is that guy, point blank, period. But his team had fatal flaws. His team had fatal flaws that other teams weren't able to expose. And that this team, as in South Carolina State, was able to expose. This Jackson State team offensive line is horrendous. It was bad. Very, very bad. I think Tony Gray can play the left tackle, but the three in the middle, center, guard, was really weak. And the right tackle was getting dominated by the young man, number 34, Leblansky. He was killing his man. Every single rip. Let me make sure I'm not saying this young man's name wrong. His name is DeMarcus. No, not DeMarcus. Was that him? Yeah, he was a beast. He was a beast. I mean, these guys had 5 tackles for loss. They had a fumble recovery, 2 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions. Oh my God. I mean, they were in the backfield giving Shedeur. I don't know if those stats have been updated, but they were giving Shedeur problems all game long. And Coach Prime said it straight up. He said, hey, we got to give credit where credit was due. We've been beating teams all year. We've been giving teams hell all year, and it is what it is. There's another problem I have with Jackson State. So we know that they're not very effective running the ball because they have a bad offensive line. I get that. I also want to address the fact that Shedeur Sanders is a freshman. Can we all admit, because I did this early in the year and people try to bite my head off, can we all admit Shedeur Sanders is a freshman and freshmen make freshman mistakes? There were times in this game where guys were open that Shedeur Sanders just quite frankly didn't see it. There were times this game where Shedeur should have made a check and he just didn't see it. He's a freshman. He's 18, 19 years old. He made freshman mistakes. The only problem is that the freshman mistakes came at the most costly time of the year. Shedeur Sanders is a phenomenal freshman. Shedeur Sanders, by the time he graduates, by the time he leaves Jackson State, will be a NFL draft pick. He will get picked out of Jackson State, preferably in the higher rounds, first, second, third round. I think that will happen. But Shedeur Sanders is 18, 19 years old, and he looked like it today. Let's just call a spade a spade. He didn't see when they had blitzes. He didn't see certain coverages. He didn't see it right. Jay Walker pointed it out during the broadcast. If you watch the ABC broadcast, Jay Walker said, yo, there's guys open. Shedeur's just not seeing them. He's not seeing them because this is the first time that, you know what I'm saying, they got a defense that can disguise things. He got a defense that can disguise different coverages. Got a defense that is showing exotic blitzes. You got a defense that knows what they're talking about. Got a defense that had a head coach for 20 years that knows the game of football. And Shedeur looked like a freshman and he made him look like one. This took place and it's okay. It's how you learn. But because Jackson State played inferior competition, Shedeur wasn't able to learn. Now, he had to run a lot because of the offensive line. And here was the difference, and I told my friends this after the game or during the game. The difference between what South Carolina State was able to do in this game and what any other team from the SWAC wasn't able to do. See, the Jackson State offensive line, if you watched any of the games, I watched damn near all the games. Jackson State offensive line been this bad all year. They've been this bad all year. The problem is when they will play a Prairie View or when they will play a, whoever, most of those teams only had one guy that could get after the passer. Prairie View had a nose tackle that was moving dudes around, moving guards, tossing centers, tossing dudes. But he was just one. So they double, triple team him. They contained him for the most part. And Jackson State was able to hit a couple of big plays. And that's Jackson State lives and dies by the big play too, by the way. And I'm going to get to that. This South Carolina State team, had dogs all over the front. They had dogs all over the defensive front, and their secondary was better than Jackson State. Their secondary is better than Jackson State's. Their secondary kept Malachi Wideman under wraps. Their secondary kept Keith Corbin under wraps. Their secondary kept Trevante Rucker under wraps. The secondary was nasty, and you combine that secondary, who has a guy, Duran, Jacoby Durant, who's going to be an NFL player. Let's just call it what it is. He's going to play on Sundays. You combine Jacoby Durant in that secondary with the dogs on the front and the weakness of Jackson State being running the ball on their offensive line. That's how you get what you got today. 19 rushing yards. That's how you get what you got today. Shilo Sanders, 16 of 36. That's how you get what you got today. 3 turnovers, 2 picks, and a forced fumble. That's what happens when you match up a good defensive line, not just a defensive line with one-star player, or not just a defensive line with, some guys that are okay versus a bad offensive line. No, a good defensive line with an excellent secondary versus a bad O-line gets the results that you got. Because here's the thing, Jackson State's defense, as bad as they play, and they necessarily didn't play bad. They just played worse than they played all year. Jackson State's defense didn't technically play bad. The secondary got torched. Now, the secondary got torched in the second half. The secondary, certain guys were getting picked on, and once they saw that matchup with Shaquan Davis, and I'm going to play the audio from my guy. Let me go ahead and do that now, because he told me this. He literally told me this. He tried to warn me. He tried to warn you all. He tried to warn everybody. This is my guy, Kobe Orr from the CFL podcast. This was him a week ago. We did a broadcast right here on this platform. And a week ago, I had to clip this and show it to Twitter. I was like, yo, he called this. A week ago, he told us what was going to happen with that Jackson State secondary versus South Carolina State. But the secondary is what can be attacked. We love the big hits from Shilo and, the trash talking from Nugget. But like you said, that secondary can be exploited at times. And I think that's a place. And I think that's a place where South Carolina State can really have some success. For those, Kobe, you seem to have watched a lot of South Carolina State more than most people. What do you expect them to bring? They've had all this time to prepare. They've seen all the tape. They've heard all the noise. What do you expect? You said what to look for, but what do you expect from that South Carolina State football team when they hit the field Saturday in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia?
I don't care if it's Nugget or Al Young. If it's one-on-one coverage with Shaquan Davis, I'm taking it. And I'm taking it I'm taking it every time. That's your star player. That's our star player. I am willing to live and die by Shaquan Davis. I am, right? I know what Wolverine can do. I know I got him on the other side as well. But I'm going to get Shaquan involved because, honestly, I need to see that you can stop him. I'm not just going to be scared because you're the number 1 DB in JUCO and now you're at Jackson State. So that's that.
He said I needed to see that you can stop him. I need to see, like actually physically see, you be able to stop Shaquan Davis, and that's not what took place. That is not. Shaquan Davis took Jackson State on a wide receiver masterclass. He took them boys to a wide receiver masterclass because he was just simply nasty. The dude is simply nasty. He is 6'5". He caught any and everything that was thrown his way that was catchable, because a couple of them balls early just simply weren't catchable. Any and everything that was catchable, Shaquan Davis made it happen. Shaquan Davis made the play in the air. Shaquan Davis made the play, period. And that is what took place. I remember also in that same broadcast, I said South Carolina State hadn't played football in a month. South Carolina State hadn't played football since November 20th. Today is December 18th. That is that's 28 days. They hadn't played football in 28 days. I said, there's 2 things that can come from that. They're either going to be well rested, well coached, and up on simply everything Jackson State can do, or they're going to be rusty. They came out a little rusty, but they were well prepared. They hadn't played football in a month. And for that whole month, they pretty much knew they were going to be playing Jackson State. They pretty much knew Jackson State was going to win the SWAC. Now, obviously, Jackson State had to go and take care of business against Prairie View, but they had a pretty good inkling. And you could tell because Coach Buddy Bo, took Coach Prime to a coaching masterclass. Do you hear me? Put a thumbs up. Let me know in the chat. Coach Buddy Bo to Coach Prime to a coaching masterclass. See, here's the thing about football. We understand that a lot of times the team with the best players wins a whole lot, simply because that's why a lot of times when Alabama takes the field with whoever, that's why they go out and they win. They're able to dominate. But it's not just about having the best players, because if it was just about having the best players, Jackson State would have won today. It's about coaching. It's about scheme. It's about strategy. And that is what took place with South Carolina State. See, South Carolina State understood Jackson State's weakness was their offensive line. South Carolina State also knew Jackson State has a true freshman as a quarterback. So what did South Carolina do? They blitzed like hell, and they played a lot of coverage. They did a lot of 5 down linemen, and 3 would go and 2 would drop back. 3 down linemen, but 6 guys would go. And a lot of those coverages, a lot of that scheme, that schematics, those are the X's and O's. That's why I said sometimes it's about the X's and O's and not the Jimmys and Joes. Most of the time it's about the Jimmys and Joes. But the X's and O's matter as well. And the X's and O's for South Carolina State was just simply better. Do you hear me? Simply better. Their quarterback had a lot of jitters. He admitted it in the post-game press conference. He said, in the post-game, I came out there and I had the jitters. Joseph Williams understands what's going on. He said, I came out there, I had a little jitters. But in the halftime, Coach Buddy Bo settled me down. And I came out there. He still didn't finish with the best completion percentage. The man didn't go out there and become Tom Brady in the second half. But he hit the throws that he needed to hit. 4th and 19, and every single time they got a turnover, they got a touchdown. And see, at the end, I felt like Jackson State finally found a rhythm, but hell, by the time it was too late. It was too late. And the fact that you see this guy, Shaquan Davis, is torturing you. He's putting your corners in a blender. Because at first it was just the defensive line of South Carolina State was putting JSU offense in a blender. I'm jumping everywhere, but let me stay on task right here. The defensive line of South Carolina State was putting Jackson State in a blender, and then Jackson State just couldn't Shedeur just couldn't understand the fact that sometimes they would have 6 down linemen or 6 guys at the line of scrimmage and only bring 3, or they'd have 8 guys at the line of scrimmage and drop 5 and only rush 3 or whatever. Like it was a whole lot. It was a whole lot for him to process. But another thing, a very, very, very key aspect of the game that really kept South Carolina State at the top, especially in the first half. Shout out to the punter. Shout out to number 32, Mr. Dyson Roberts, the punter of South Carolina State. May have very well been the MVP of the game. Why? One time, he stopped Warren Newman on a punt return that looked like it was headed for 6, and that would have changed the trajectory of the game. If Warren Newman runs back that punt return, it would have changed the trajectory of the game. Don't believe me? I believe that. It's just how football works, momentum and everything. He stops that. He had 2 or 3 60-yard punts. Do you hear me? 2 or 3 60-yard punts. Understand let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments that you understand what I'm saying, what a 60-yard punt does. The man has swag. The man was letting them know that he was getting his job done. He kept South Carolina State in the game because he would flip the field. And when he would flip the field, first of all, Jackson State is not a traditional offense. They don't get 6 yards of carry when a run. They don't throw a lot of 8-yard routes, 9-yard completions or whatever. They hit home runs. Jackson State's known for hitting Malachi over the top, Keith Corbin over the top. Rucker makes some plays. Newman makes a good punt return. Isaiah Bolden returns a kick or something. They're known for big plays. They are a big play offense. And when Roberts was flipping the field, and that South Carolina State defense was able to come out there and make plays, so you got the combination of Roberts flipping the field and the South Carolina State defense coming out there making plays, that is what changed everything in the game. It changed everything. You get him hitting a 60-yard punt, and instead of getting the ball on your own 50, you're getting the ball at midfield or on your own 40 or something. You're getting the ball at the 15. You're getting the ball at the 20. Like, whoa. I mean, the man was incredible. So shout out to Dyson Roberts, number 32, the punter. He just, quite frankly, was amazing. He was a beast. He was quite literally a beast. You couldn't ask more from Jackson in this situation, running back next year, Jackson. No, you could have asked a whole lot more, Jackson State. Because although South Carolina State had a month to prepare, Jackson State had 2 weeks. Jackson State had 2 weeks, and they were the ones that came into this game with all the hype. They were the ones that came into this game as the heavy favorites. They were the ones that came into this game as the overwhelming favorite with all the hype from the recruiting wins. And they were the ones that everybody expected to come out and dominate this game. If somebody would have told you before this game, let me know in the chat if I'm lying. If somebody would have told you before this game The score ends up 31-10. 99% of people, you don't tell them who scores what, the stats, nothing. They say one team wins 31-10. You're going to say Jackson State 99.9% of the time. Anybody before this game, if you would have asked them, someone is going to win the Celebration Bowl, 31-10, they would have all told you Jackson State. 99% of the people would have told you Jackson State, point blank, period. So they had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. They had 2 weeks, and to put up that kind of performance on offense is pitiful. Just call it what it is. We're not going to poo-poo on the season. The season was amazing. 11-1, 11-2 on the season. A SWAC championship for the first time since 2007. We're not going to poo-poo on that. A SWAC East title for the first time in years. We're not going to poo-poo on that. Your first bid to the Celebration Bowl ever. We're not going to poo-poo on that. Eddie Robinson, Coach of the Year for Coach Prime. SWAC Coach of the Year for Coach Prime. Shador wins a Jerry Rice Award and the SWAC Freshman of the Year. James Houston wins the Newcomer of the Year. We're not going to poo-poo on that. James Houston finishes the season with like 16 sacks. We're not going to poo-poo on none of that. But we're going to poo-poo on this game performance. To score 10 points after having 2 weeks to prepare, yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. And in the clip that I played of Coach Prime, he said, I can fix that. And what he means is, I'm going to replace these guys. In his post-game press conference, he made it very much clear. He said, no, yeah, we got dominated. We got our butts kicked. We're going to uplift South Carolina State. And we're not going to downplay anyone. We're not going to say anything on social media. We're not going to do any of these things. We're going to uplift them, and we're going to congratulate ourselves on having a great season. But the problems that we had in this game and that we've had all year are in the process of getting fixed right now. And people are probably looking around like, what does that mean? No, that means he's got kids on the phone saying, hey, we're not as all world as people are trying to make it seem like. Come join us. Come to Jackson State. He's pulling a Suge Knight. He's literally pulling a Suge Knight. He said, you want to come in and do some dancing on camera, hang out with Gillian Waller while also winning? Come to Jackson State. Come to Jackson State. And all guys from the MEAC and all the guys from South Carolina State are saying, yeah, y'all can have all that next year talk. This year talk is going to South Carolina State. This year talk is headed back to Orangeburg. Am I saying that right? Let me know in the chat if I'm saying that wrong. Orangeburg, South Carolina. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. All of that. Go ahead and fix all of that. But these trophies, this Celebration Bowl trophy, Coach Buddy Pugh, yeah, we all headed back to Orangeburg with this dub. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, guys. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Yeah, so there is some. Now, one thing I will say that I don't like, and I saw, and I'm trying to see if I can find it. I don't know if I can, but there was something, and that's the thing about Jackson State. That's the thing about Coach Prime. The thing about Coach Prime and Jackson State is because they're so braggadocious, because they are so in your face, they take the identity. See, every football team takes the identity of their coach. Every football team takes the identity of their coach. Buddy Pugh obviously is a quiet guy. He's a quiet guy. He's old school. Ain't a whole bunch of talking. Just go out there, execute, get the job done. Boom. It just is what it is. That's how he runs his operation. That's how they do it. That's how they handle business. Deion Sanders, on the other time, is prime time. He's quite literally Coach Prime. This is what he's about. This is what he's always been about since the world was introduced to him in the 80s at Florida State. And throughout his professional career, as far as a football player, throughout his professional career as a broadcaster, he's always been that dude. Like that. That's just always been. And his team takes on that bravado. They take on that. So that's why they have all the barstool cameras around. That's why they have all the celebrities and the rappers and stuff in the locker room. That's how they're doing all the dances. And you see guys, when they play other teams, love to stick it to Coach Prime, because this year they were sticking it to a whole lot of people. 11-1, every single team they played, they were sticking it to him. And so anytime that another team got a chance to stick it back to Jackson State, they did. And this includes teams that weren't even on the field. So Jackson State, as I said, may shock the world with a recruiting win from God. A recruiting miracle, most people would say, when they grabbed Travis Hunter, the number one player in the country, and convinced him to come back to his roots and come back to an HBCU program, the first 5-star to ever choose an HBCU program since 5 stars was created. So as far as the ranking system back in like 2005, 2006, he's the first one ever. He's the first one to ever even choose an FBS school. I don't think anybody inside the top ESPN 300 or top 150 or whatever had ever chosen an FBS school, let alone the number one player. No, let alone the number one player, just never heard of. But when you lose, because you are braggadocious, because you stick it to them, because you talk a lot of junk, because you are that dude most of the time, 99% of the time, when that 1% happens and people can stick it back to you, they will. This includes guys that weren't even on the field today. So today I saw a tweet and I wish I could find it. Oh my God, I can't find it. I can't find it anywhere. Let me see if I can pull up something. I can't find it, but you guys know here it is. I found it. Oh my God. So look, this is a kid that goes to Florida A&M, FAMU. This was his tweet when he saw Jackson State lose. He says, go recruit more 5-stars. You gonna need them. We will see y'all next fall. This young man goes to Florida State. Florida A&M. See, this is what I don't like. Because on the field, Jackson State beat Florida A&M. On the field, Jackson State beat everybody in the SWAC. On the field, the only HBCU team that is allowed to talk junk to Jackson State is South Carolina State. If you're this young man or somebody that is associated with this young man, you need to tell him he's better than this. He is better than this. Whoever this young man is, number 88 apparently. Go recruit more 5-stars. You're going to need them. We'll see y'all next fall. See, all of that is cute if you beat Jackson State. Now, Florida A&M, I will say to their credit, they beat South Carolina State this year. They beat them quite handily, actually. They beat them like 30-7. But today, the best team in HBCU football reigns in Orangeburg, South Carolina. That is South Carolina State. I'm trying to see. ATL Limelight got too big. I mean, I don't know. Well, maybe that was a factor. Maybe all the homecoming talk and all that stuff did get to the team. Maybe that was too much for them. Maybe that was too much. Stop disrespecting. See, and that's another thing. I don't know where this whole MEAC disrespect thing came from. The Celebration Bowl has been played 6 times. It's been in existence for a total of 7 years, been played 6 times. In the 6 games, the MEAC has won 5. The MEAC has won 5 of those games. Now, granted, majority of those MEAC wins came from one school. That's North Carolina A&T. But at the same time, the MEAC has won 5 of these games. Point blank, period. So the disrespect of the MEAC, I don't even understand where that even comes from. I'm not even sure where that comes from. Nobody wouldn't even care about the Celebration Bowl of South Carolina State if it wasn't for Deion Sanders. Oh, long haul 504. You have some point. Now I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. You're absolutely right. Long haul 504. You're absolutely right. Nobody, I'm not going to say nobody, because them boys down in Orangeburg seem to care a whole lot. There'd be a group of people that would care about the Celebration Bowl. Yeah, there would be a group of people that would care. Let's not get it twisted. There would be a group of people, but it wouldn't be the people that care as much as they do now. It wouldn't be this big of a crowd. The Celebration Bowl had trouble selling tickets in years past. Let's keep it a bean. The Celebration Bowl couldn't sell the lower bowl. They couldn't sell 30,000 tickets in years past. Jackson State at the Vet puts 40,000 every week at the Vet, and that was down years. They would put 35 to 40,000 during down seasons. The Celebration Bowl at one point couldn't sell 30,000 tickets. This year they sold out over 50,000. So we not long haul. I'm not even gonna fake the funk and act like Coach Prime ain't a big reason why all these eyeballs, all these cameras, all these media coverage, hell, even why I'm talking about the Celebration Bowl. I've been on YouTube a long time. I'd never once covered a Celebration Bowl ever. In the years that I've been on YouTube, I'd never once. This is my first Celebration Bowl I've ever covered, I've ever talked about on my platform. And 99% of the reason is because Deion Sanders is at Jackson State. So I'm not even going to fake the funk. I'm not even going to do that at all. I'm not even going to do that at all. What do you think about future prospects? Think about HBC? Well, look, the truth, I'm not going to say they turn on each other. I'm not going to say, so if you're referencing to this tweet, see, this is what this tweet about, and this, I'm glad you got me back on track because I get distracted. This tweet right here by Mr. Throw It Up 88, is what comes with the territory when you're Deion Sanders in Jackson State. Mr. Throw It Up 88, he's the only one that tweeted it out, but 1 million people across this country feel this exact same way. Mr. Throw It Up 88 literally just said the same thing that millions of people are thinking. Because when you're primetime, when you're Deion Sanders, you have a Coach Prime documentary. When you're on TV 24/7, when all the teams, all these people are praising you for uplifting, which you did. Let's not act like he didn't do it, but praising you and uplifting you for uplifting not just your program, but HBCU sports. Let's not just talk about HBCU football, not even just talk about the SWAC. HBCU sports had been put on a pedestal because of Deion Sanders. Let's not fake the funk one bit. And the thing is, he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to do it at all. But he chose to go to Jackson State. He chose to put his resources into that program. He chose to get media members to come to Jackson, Mississippi, and to talk about programs like Jackson State, which led them to talk about programs like South Carolina State, which led them to talk about Mr. Throw It Up 88's program, FAMU. Because they brought the Orange Blossom Classic back after, 40, 50 years of being gone. They brought it back because Jackson State is now relevant along with FAMU. So let's not get it twisted. But Mr. Throw It Up 88 gets the little cheap shot that a lot of people are going to get because Deion and them won the recruiting battle, but lost the game on the field. So you're going to see little cheap shots like this because people are happy that Coach Prime got put in his place, are happy that Coach Prime took a L because he'd been winning too much. He had been winning on too many levels too much. He had been winning on the field. He won a SWAC championship in his first fall season. He had been winning on the recruiting trail, getting the number one JUCO prospect, the number one high school prospect in the country. He had been winning in the transfer portal, getting guys like James Houston, a Florida transfer, Malachi Wideman, a Tennessee transfer, all of these different transfers into his program, and they're making an immediate impact. They didn't take any time. They made an immediate impact. He had been winning too much. And so he had been winning in social media with the dances, with the celebrities, with the podcast, with everything. He had been winning. He just been winning way too much. Winning with the swag as far as getting brand new jerseys, brand new helmets, brand new everything. He was on too big of a winning streak. So Mr. Throw It Up 88, the first chance he got, tried to throw smut on his name. Tried to throw dirt, but this is what comes with the territory. This is what comes with being Deion Sanders. This is what comes with going to Jackson State. This is what Travis Hunter's going to get because there were plenty of Florida State haters also in the comments, also making tweets, also doing their thing because they seen what was taking place on the field. And don't get me wrong, I am also here to celebrate South Carolina State because they went out there and got the job done. I am also here to uplift South Carolina State because they handled Jackson State. They manhandled them boys, point blank, period. But let's not act like the spotlight isn't on HBCU sports because of Deion Sanders. Let's not act like a lot of these things with HBCU sports, not just HBCU football, not just Jackson State, not just the SWAC, HBCU sports ain't happening because of Deion Sanders. Listen to Jackson State wasn't ready to play, read too many headlines, that might be true, refused to change up the defense, stayed in man-to-man, and also stuck with his son at QB no matter what. So, okay, Kerman, you bring up a good point. So another thing I want to talk about too, let me take this tweet off the screen because, let's leave the tweet up because it's kind of funny. But Kerman brings up a good point. He talks about sticking with Shilo Sanders even when he struggles. And see, I think part of this is a problem with Jackson State. And this goes into that coaching thing that I talked about. Buddy Pugh ran laps. He gave Deion Sanders a coaching clinic. And I don't know if this will ever change while Shilo Sanders is at Jackson State. Shilo Sanders has no threat of ever being replaced. And I don't know if he's getting, I don't know what to say, but there's no threat of him ever being replaced because he knew in the spring, this fall, that he would be the starting quarterback. And he knows even when he struggles, there's really not a person that they can go to because they didn't recruit a quarterback in 2020. They not really recruiting a quarterback in 21. And they might recruit a quarterback they didn't recruit a quarterback in 2021. They're not recruiting one in the 22 class. And they probably aren't going to bring in one till 23 and maybe not even till 24 because they feel like Shador is the future, which I think Shador is too. But sometimes we got to switch up the game plan. If certain things aren't working, if they're getting too much pressure, maybe we should throw a screen pass. Maybe we should throw a bubble screen. Maybe we should Jackson State started having, when they started having success on offense, it finally happened towards the end of the game when they started throwing shorter routes. The short routes came into play and it actually was really effective. But it took too long to get to that. It took way too long to get to that. And Kerman brings up a point. He sticks with his son no matter what. Now, I'm not saying you got a better option. I don't know if those backup quarterbacks are better than Shador. I don't think they are. But it's hard. It's really hard to coach up a guy. Not to say that Shador's not getting adequate coaching. But it's hard to coach up Shador when, one, he knows he'll never be replaced. And two, I don't know. It's really hard to coach up a guy that knows he has no shot of being replaced even if he plays terribly. So, that is something to look at moving forward with Jackson State. Let's get some more celebration highlight. Attendance won't be matching other bowls. Nah, that 50,000, 50, 55. I want to know what the official number is going to be. I think it's going to be over 50,000, but I'm just wondering if it's going to be 51, 52, 53. So yeah, I'm curious to see that. Southern and Grambling been the bowl game for HBCU for years. Oh, and the Southern Grambling game, well, that Grambling team, don't sleep on Coach Hugh Jack. Coach Hugh Jackson is about to bring some dogs back to Grambling. Just like Jackson State got a nice history of great players and great traditional program, Grambling does too. And Coach Hugh knows how to coach. Coach Hugh has been a coach at the highest level. He knows what he is doing. So let's not sleep on Grambling is a sleeping, just like Jackson State was a sleeping giant, and Coach Prime went and brought the static back to Jackson State. Coach Hugh Jackson, he's going to bring that static back to Grambling as well. So don't sleep on that. I didn't know JSU had so much hate until today. Oh, no, JSU hate is real, my guy. JSU hate is real. It's going to be real. It's always going to be real. When you're a trendsetter and you're doing things that had never been done before, and you're iconic and you're kind of braggadocious and a little bit and a tiny smidge of arrogance, you're a little arrogant in there too. Now the haters are going to flock. And as soon as you stumble, because JSU didn't fall, they won a SWAC championship. Hadn't been done in 14 years at their school. They won a SWAC East title. Hadn't been done in years at their school. But when you hit they went to the Celebration Bowl, which they had never done in the history of their program. But when you hit a little stumble like they did today, they hit a stumble, the haters is going to come out, G. So that's just what's going to happen. In 2 to 3 years, he'll have a team of a lot of 3 and 4 stars, and I'm pulling for the Southern Jags. But Jackson State will be able to. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Now, I believe you long haul. I think there's some truth in that as well. But they have some issues to fix up. Jackson State has some serious issues. Guys, be sure to hit the thumbs up button too. We got a nice amount of people in here. We're here heavy. Jackson State's got some things to fix up. That secondary, it needs to be some new faces back there. I don't know who needs to be replaced, but somebody needs to be replaced. I think the freshman is really, really good. Cameron, Silman Craig, I think he's really good. I think everybody else, Nugget has been pretty good all year. Nugget and Silman Craig are the two mainstays. Everybody else, job might be on the line. Everybody, that includes Shilo. Shilo made a pick today, but Shilo was him too. Everybody's job need to be on the line of Jackson State. Let's see. They're actually they have 4 very good quarterbacks committed. Do they? I mean, I ain't seen it. They have 4 quarterbacks. They only have 4. They only have 4 commits. Period. So I don't know if that's true. We got out coached today. Yeah, no, he got. But you guys got to think, man. You guys got to think. And I know Coach Prime talked about all the levels that he had coached at. He had coached at like the youth level. That's really cool. Like that's nice. You know what I'm saying? Like that's real cool. But coaching the youth level and even the high school level at a Trinity Christian, which was a private high school that didn't play like top level competition in the state of Texas, is different than coaching at the college level, than coaching at the SWAC level, than coaching at the, at a Celebration Bowl type level. Now, the SWAC, they were able to get away with a lot of stuff because they were just simply more talented than other teams. And I still think they're more talented than South Carolina State. But South Carolina State, as my guy CFL, Mr. Kobe Orr told us, they got some NFL players too. South Carolina State, over the recent history, has sent some dudes to the NFL. Javon Hargrave, that plays for the Philadelphia Eagles, defensive tackle. He's in the league. Darius Leonard, arguably the best linebacker in the NFL. Played for Coach Buddy Pugh. He's in the league. He's an all-pro. They know what pros look like too, so they got some dogs over there as well. Shadur shouldn't have been replaced. Tampa Bay wouldn't replace Tom Brady, no way. Come on, Antoine. Come on, G. No. Let me make this clear. I never said Shadur should have been replaced. I'm saying there's not even a threat of him being replaced. I'm saying there's not even a threat, like not at all. But don't compare this shit. Now, I like Shadur. I think he's elite. I think he's really good. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, guys. This is kind of like the JSU delusion that be taking place because Shadur has bad games. Like Shadur is a freshman. He's a freshman. He acts like a freshman sometimes. He plays like a freshman. 90% of the time, he plays above freshman level. But the Prairie View game, he played bad. This game, he played bad. Sometimes he plays bad. Sometimes he plays freshman. It's not Tom Brady, guys. He's not Tom Brady. JSU refuses to do a lot of things on offense. JSU refuses to do a ton of things on offense. Their offensive play scheme, like, honestly, if JSU's not hitting big plays, their offense is pretty vanilla. It's pretty meh. I made these statements earlier. It's pretty meh, and that's how you can get out schemed. That's how you can get outplayed. That's how you can, you know what I'm saying? Like, you run into a team with some dogs on defense, and you have some problems. So, yeah. 2 QBs not dressing out, maybe redshirt an injury. I just think they just don't have a chance of playing. That is what's wrong with us. We're the only ones competing against each other that do it personally. I don't know. And JSU football does have a great future. It has a super bright future. I think JSU. Now, one thing that helped South Carolina State that hurt JSU, South Carolina State played a very, very tough schedule. They played a stupid tough schedule. Like, they played a lot of tough non-conference games. They started the season. Let me show you guys. Let me go ahead and take this guy's tweet off the screen. We might come back to it later. I don't know. But South Carolina State, this is how tough their schedule was. And this played a factor in tonight's game, like today's game. The fact that they played some of these teams, non-conference, this is going to make you better. You play in Alabama A&M at the beginning of the season. Who coming in? Think about this. Coming into the season, Alabama A&M were one of the favorites. JSU was the favorite, but Alabama A&M was coming off a spring title. You can say what you want about the spring title, but they won it. They won a spring title. You played in Alabama A&M. You played at Clemson. You played an FBS opponent in New Mexico State. You played another SWAC school in Bethune-Cookman. You played another SWAC school. You got to remember, South Carolina State is in the MEAC. They don't have to play FAMU and Bethune-Cookman and Alabama and A&M. And they took a game against Clemson. So you're playing these tough games. Think about this. This is the first 5 games of the season. Your first 5 games of the season. And then you finish the season, and then you go, and North Carolina A&T isn't in the MEAC anymore. You play in North Carolina A&T. You play in North Carolina A&T. And all of these conference games, by the time, you go through this gauntlet of Clemson, A&M, Florida, FAMU, you go through that gauntlet. By the time you play your conference games like Morgan State and Dell State and North Carolina Central and Howard, you're able to get through them. You schedule another good non-conference, Norfolk State. You get the win. You win the MEAC. And you go on and you curb stomp Jackson State. You go and curb stomp Jackson State. I mean, Shout out to their scheduling. Jackson State's going to have to learn from that and have a better schedule next year. Jackson State essentially didn't play really anybody non-conference except for the one FBS school, UL Monroe, which was their only loss. They're going to have to schedule some better non-conference competition. That way, and here's the thing. The reason why that's important, because Jackson State had never been down by 2 touchdowns before. Think about this, guys. It says Jackson State has a bright future. They must address the running game ASAP. Yeah, that comes with getting better offensive linemen, too. They're going to have to get a running back in the transfer portal or high school or something. They're going to have to get some off. They already got the offensive lineman. Shout out to my guy, Evan Henry. They got guys like him coming in and going to fix that offensive line. But the thing is, they're going to have to play better teams because, like I said, they got outcoached. The reason why they got outcoached is because their team had never been in that situation. Jackson State, I think their biggest deficit all year was 10 points to Southern. That was it. When your biggest deficit is 10 points. Like, this game was winnable up until that very last touchdown for the most part. But when your biggest deficit is 10 points, you don't know how to win a game when you're down by 2 touchdowns. You don't know how to win a game when you're down 17 points. You don't even know because you've never been in that situation. And Jackson State, quite frankly, had never been in that situation, and that's what hurt them. That's what hurt them. They had never been in a situation where they had turnover after turnover after turnover. That happened today. And so all of those things, you adjust to those situations, even if you lose a game, even if you don't win 11 games in a season. You learn from those mistakes. So when you get in the biggest moments with the brightest lights, with everything on the line, you're able to make those plays. You're able to overcome that stuff because you're able to make those plays. So that's my thing, man. I think, yes, congratulations to South Carolina State. They were the better team. They were the better team. They were the better coach team. They were the bullies. They weren't getting bullied. They were the bullies. They handled themselves. They made plays when they needed them the most. Their quarterback made the timely throws after having a horrendous first half. He came back in the second half and was nice. Shaq Davis was one of the best players on the field when he was on the field. It was a mismatch, like my boy Kobe Orr said it was going to be, and they came out on top. So that's my thoughts, my instant react, my post-game reaction. I had to take some time to let it decompress, to really analyze what took place, to really go over in my head what took place and how they lost and what happened. But don't worry, JSU. Help is on the way. I repeat, help is on the way. JSU, in the form of linemen, in the form of secondary help, and in the form of Travis Hunter. Help is on the way, so don't be too down on yourself. My name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. with the Black Boss Channel in Victory Formation. Hit the thumbs up button, guys, on your way out. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jeff Lightsy Jr. on YouTube. That is Jeff Lightsy Jr. on YouTube. Thank you guys for tuning in so much, and I will see you next time. Peace.